StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।
Hello, Namaskar, Namaskara, Namaskaram, Namaskar. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my daily current affairs class, in which we will learn the current significant events of the past 24 hours from the perspective of your UPSC preliminary examination, and also how to tackle the UPSC preliminary questions as prelims are becoming difficult year by year. Today, we are going to cover 9 important events that have taken place in the last 24 hours. First of all, let's talk about this question. With respect to the Artemis Accords, consider the following statements. These are legally binding set of principles designed to guide civil space exploration. Through the Artemis program, NASA will land the first woman and first person of color on the moon. There are 8 founding members of the Accords, which was established in 2020. So what do we have to see? How many of the statements given above is or are correct? Recently, India has decided to sign the Artemis Accords. And it is of great significance because with the help of this, India and the USA will exchange data and technology with respect to space missions, specifically lunar mission. As India is set to launch Chandrayaan 3 and Gaganyaan, it is a landmark event. That is why we have to cover it. But one thing we have to keep in mind is the nature of the treaty. When any accord is signed, we have to ensure that we know the nature of it, the features of it. That is why the first statement is important here. These are actually not legally binding. These are in fact non-binding treaty designed to guide civil space exploration. I could have confused you with these are non-binding treaties or set of principles designed to guide civil as well as military operation. No, it is only for civil purposes. That is why UPSC tricks you like that. If you have not read anything in depth, you will not be able to do the question. So ensure that you will read it in depth, know the exact things about certain accords, and hence you will be able to do it. So first statement becomes incorrect because this is a non-binding set of principles. And through the Artemis program, yes, NASA is going to land the first woman and first person on color on the moon. That means we are going back to the moon by 2025. In the year 2025, it is said to take place. One woman and one person of color. That means one person who is non-white. And there are 8 founding members. This is definitely correct. It was founded in the year 2020. So second and third statements are correct, but first statement is not correct. So 2 only will be the correct answer. Before I move ahead with the explanation, I would like to inform you about the prelims to interview batches that we have launched in 3 different languages. Hindi, that will be completely in Hindi. English, completely in English, and English, a hybrid of Hindi and English. So, if you're going to prepare or appear for the UPSC 2024, please do join this batch because from 19th of June onwards, we have launched our batch with orientation classes. You haven't missed a lot and the discount is still available. Once you get enrolled in this batch, you do not need to worry about anything else. I mean, prelims test series, mains test series, daily current affairs program, answer writing practice, as well as current affairs quiz, preliminary quiz, all takes place at one stop. And this is the stop of StudyIQ. So you please take admission into that if you're looking for a course that is a one-stop solution for UPSC 2024. We have limited seats. We are closing in on our admission soon. That is 30th of June. We have limited seats. So 30th of June is the date before which you have to take the admission, and you can apply the code PDLive. PDLive. You will get this course for just rupees 29,999. Actual price ranges from 60,000 to 70,000. Let's move on and talk about the explanation. India has decided to join the Artemis Accords as we know that our Prime Minister is on a state visit to the USA. So it's a landmark, you can say, event. And NASA and ISRO have also agreed to go for a joint mission to the International Space Station by 2024. Although International Space Station is set to be decommissioned by the year 2031. Now, with the help of these accords, India and the USA will exchange data, technology and resources and work together to go on the moon and beyond. Moving on. Now, the main aim of the Artemis Accords is to bring like-minded countries together on civil space exploration for civil purposes. not military purposes. And of course, the next generation of lunar exploration is based on this. Artemis is actually the twin sister of Apollo, who is also the goddess of moon. Okay, so if it is asked in your preliminary examination about anything like this, you can answer it easily. And of course, they belong to the Greek mythology. The Artemis Accords are a part of the Artemis program to build a permanent presence in the lunar orbit, and it is a set of non-binding principles which govern international cooperation in space. It ultimately wants to make humans an interplanetary species. That means from Earth to different planets, the person or humans can go to different planets, so they will become interplanetary species. Okay, and this is grounded in Outer Space Treaty of 1967. A preliminary question could also be formulated with respect to this, that Artemis Accords abide by the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, yes. And it is an American-led effort to return humans to the moon in the year 2025. And through this program, NASA will land first moon and first person of color. There are 23 signatories to the Artemis Accords, excluding India. Australia, Bahrain, Brazil, Canada, Colombia, France, Germany, Israel, Italy, Japan, the Republic of Korea, Luxembourg, Mexico, New Zealand, Poland, Romania, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Ukraine, UAE, United Kingdom, and United States. China is not a part of it. So the prelims can also ask you questions about which country is not a part of the Artemis Accord. Be updated. I will ensure that I will update you from this whenever the exams come closer. But these are the many countries who have signed the accords. Okay. So once you remember which are the countries who have signed the accords, you will easily understand that which countries haven't joined the accords. Okay. With respect to the chronic myeloid leukemia, consider the following statements. It happens when there is an injury to the DNA of a single bone marrow cell. CML is slightly more common in males than females. CML means chronic myeloid leukemia. Chronic phase CML is generally less severe than acute leukemia. So what do we have to see? We have to see how many of the statements given above is or are not correct. During the examination, sometimes we become so nervous that we look over the word not correct. But please do not do that. Be very calm. This exam is doable. Don't worry about that. Don't listen to people who are telling you that UPSC is, ruining the career of students. No, it is not. This year's paper, although the trend has changed drastically, it was difficult, but it was not something that wouldn't have been cracked. Next year's toppers will tell you how did they do it. But I am telling you, once you have the concept clear, once you are in touch with current affairs and you have the concept and basis clear, you do not need lazy tricks like elimination. This exam is doable. Just think like that. And of course, CML, with respect to this, new developments have arisen. That is why I have asked you this question. So CML is actually one of the 4 types of blood cancer, blood and bone marrow cancer. And it happens when there is an injury to the DNA of a developing stem cell. And that is why the first statement becomes correct. CML is slightly more common in males than females. This is also correct. And as the age grows, as a person grows in age, the chances to get CML also increases. And chronic phase CML is actually is actually less severe than acute leukemia. That is also correct. It is manageable. Why? Because it does not completely interfere with the mature red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. That is why it is manageable. So that makes the first statement to be correct, second statement to be correct, and third is also correct. As we have to select the not correct statement, right? So none of them are not correct, all are correct. Option D is correct. Now, the medicines patent pool has signed sub-license agreement with 3 Indian-based companies, Eugia, Hetero, and Doctors Reddy Laboratory, along with Indonesian firm Brightgene, to manufacture the generic version of Novartis cancer treatment of drug nilotinib. So nilotinib is a drug that treats CML, and CML is a type of blood cancer. Medicines Patent Pool is a United Nations-backed public health organization which facilitates the treatment and development of drugs for low-income countries and middle-income countries. Remember that. Moving on, and it is a cancer of the blood and bone marrow, and usually it is diagnosed in the chronic phase where when treatment is very effective. So this is also a very good preliminary statement that CML is most effectively treated when it is in the chronic stage. Yes. And it has 3 phases. It is also known as chronic myelogenous leukemia, chronic granulocytic leukemia, and chronic myelocytic leukemia. It can be managed through daily oral drug therapy. That means what you take from the mouth is oral drug therapy. And since the invention of the tyrosine kinase inhibitor therapy in the year 2001, it has become manageable. So more people are managing it, less people are dying from it. How does it develop? Nobody is born with it, okay? And the DNA of the developing stem cell in the bone marrow is damaged. And once it is damaged, it is known as acquired mutation. Stem cells from blood form the blood cells. Blood cells include red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. And when the cell that has been damaged is going to be in your blood, it will become a leukemic cell and then it will replicate. When it replicates at a faster rate than the other blood cells, and it doesn't completely interfere with the development of the mature red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. That is why it is manageable. And as a result, what happens is that the number of healthy blood cells is usually lower than normal. This is the biggest takeaway from here. Let's see, the mutated cell creates it to replicate at a faster rate than the normal blood cells, and that is why it is in our blood, it is at a heavier percentage. Now when it is at a heavier percentage, the good blood cells, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets are lower in our body. That causes compromised immunity system and seldom anemia as well. Moving on, no one is born with it, and injury to the DNA causes this disease. Risk factor includes sex, which it is more commonly found in males than in females. The risk increases with age, and also radiation exposure. Any person who has been exposed to radiation such as nuclear bomb explosion, they are at a higher risk of getting this disease. Moving on, environment and ecology, we have a question from here as well. This is a national park and a tiger reserve. Sometimes we get big paragraphs. When you see it, you start thinking, oh my god, do I know it or not? Don't get scared. The bigger the sentence, the more information there is, the higher the chances are there that you will do it. Okay, so do not get scared by this. This is a national park and tiger reserve bordering the Bandipur Tiger Reserve to the south and the Kabini River to the north. It was established in the year 1955 as a wildlife sanctuary, and in 1999 it became a tiger reserve under the Project Tiger initiative, which was launched in 1973. So which of the following protected areas is the above paragraph referring to? Kudremukh Tiger Reserve, Dandeli Anshi Tiger Reserve, Mahadei Tiger Reserve, or Nagarhole Tiger Reserve. So tiger reserves are very important whenever we are preparing for this particular examination, and we must also keep a tab on those tiger reserves which have been in the news recently. So recently, Nagarhole Tiger Reserve has been in the news. The correct answer will be Nagarhole Tiger Reserve. This is a national park as well as a tiger reserve, which was established as a tiger reserve in 1999, although it was established as a wildlife sanctuary in 1955. Okay, and it is having very important regions near it. So whenever important regions are surrounding other important region, what happens? Questions are asked in relation to that. All right. So that is why this question has been asked. Yes. So the correct answer is Nagarhole Tiger Reserve. Let's know why was it asked. See, antlered deers, they are found in the backwaters of the Kabini River. And you see this poor antlered deer, 3 were there in number, and they have fish nets stuck to their antlers because these fish nets have been used by fishermen from the Kabini River. And this is creating an issue for the wildlife, although they have been rescued recently. Nagarhole Tiger Reserve is situated between the Mysuru Plateau and the Nilgiri Hills in southwestern Karnataka. And it borders Bandipur Tiger Reserve to the south. Okay, Bandipur Tiger Reserve, where it is? Here is the Bandipur Tiger Reserve to the south of the Nagarhole Tiger Reserve, and here is the Kabini River. We have Bandipur National Park or Tiger Reserve to the south, and then Kabini River is here to the north, and here only these poor antler deers in the backwater of it had fish nets stuck to their antlers. Okay, and I have already told you all this, although certain other things are important. Established in 1955 as a wildlife sanctuary, 1999 declared as a tiger reserve, and national park it was declared before it was declared as a tiger reserve in 1999. It was the year 1988. Okay, so it's a national park as well as a tiger reserve, remember that. Okay, moving ahead. Oh, let me tell you about other courses that we are launching. PSI or optional if you're a student of that. History, geography, public administration, even philosophy, anthropology, Hindi Sahitya. We are launching all these batches for optionals. And if you want to take admission into this, you can do so by applying the code PD Live. You will get it for just rupees 13,999. It's super affordable, has notes and study materials, everything included. These are live classes, not recorded ones. So you will be able to get your doubts cleared as well. Do not worry about that. But this code PD Live is available only till 25th June 2023. So do that. Please apply it if you want to get admission into optionals. Consider the following statements. LCA Tejas is a 4.5 generation all-weather and multi-role fighter aircraft. The LCA Tejas is powered by a single GE 4041 IN20 engine. Super Hornet, Growler and Gripen use the GE F414 engines. So these kind of questions could also come because whenever landmark agreements and accords are signed or any memorandum of understanding is signed, questions arise from there. Okay, so how many statements given above is or are correct? Now this kind of question is important because you will clear this examination, you will become a defense secretary one day or the other. So as a defense secretary, you will have to tell the defense minister what is the importance of certain engines. That is why UPSC wants such students who have everything in their heads from the very beginning. They do not need to train you all the time. So yes, that is why this question has been asked. From, if you will say, why was this question asked? Like we always say for the UPSC preliminary examination, they are looking for already, polished candidates, and you will be polished. Don't worry about that. This class will help you through that. LCA Tejas is a 4.5 generation. This is correct. All weather, this is also correct. And multi-role fighter aircraft. That means it can operate on many areas for many roles. The first statement is correct. And LCA Tejas is actually powered by GE 404 IN20 engine. This is also correct. This is a very good engine which is used in certain aircraft such as Super Hornet, Growler and Gripen. So first is correct, second and third. All three are correct. What we have to see, how many are correct? All three will be the correct answer. Now, American multinational corporation, the General Electric, has announced that it will come into an agreement with India's state-owned Hindustan Aeronautics Limited to make fighter jet engines for the Indian Air Force, which will be manufactured in India. This is a very big deal. Why? We will know that as well. This manufacture will be under the license in India of GE's F414 engine for the indigenous, that means developed in India, light combat aircraft Tejas Mk2. Right now, the capability to manufacture, that means the technology to manufacture such good and highly capable engines are in the hands of very few countries such as US, UK, Russia and France. Now what happens if we have to be Atmanirbhar Bharat in the defense sector? We need our engines to be manufactured in India. So generally the countries do not give us the technology which is important for developing such engines. Now we will be able to have a technology transfer as well. So the technology and metallurgy which is needed to manufacture an engine that will power a fighter aircraft. It is very important. That the reason why I am saying this. 8 nations have F414 power aircraft in operation or on order. They are in operation or they are in pipeline to be in operation. Like for the US Navy's Boeing Super Hornet, Growler electronic attack aircraft, Gripen, and South Korea is also, looking forward towards it. Moving on. LCA is actually a 4.5 generation all-weather multi-role fighter aircraft. It can perform many roles from ground combat to ground maritime operation, many things. Okay, so that is why it is known as a multi-role aircraft. Alright, let's move forward. Consider the following statements. Statement 1 and statement 2. These kind of statement based questions we could only see in the CSAT paper. But from this year, and mind you, next year, it can happen that most of the questions will become statement based. Because last time, what did we see? The prelims of 2022, few questions were there in which how many statements given above is or are correct, how many are not correct. This was given 2 to 3, I think 4 5 questions were there. But now the entire paper is inclined towards these kind of questions. UPSC has eliminated the elimination techniques. So it may be possible, highly possible, that you will get these kind of statement based question in your UPSC GS prelims paper. Statement 1 says the prevalence of hemoglobinopathies is more common among the tribal population than non-tribal communities in India. In India, states and union territories with tribal population contribute a significant sickle cell anemia caseload. Okay, so what do we have to see here? We have to choose the correct answer using the following codes. Both the statements are correct and statement 1 is the correct explanation of statement 2. Both these statements are correct. Statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. Both are correct, but neither explains each other. Both the statements are incorrect. Let's see. Statement 1 is definitely correct. The prevalence of hemoglobinopathies, which is a disorder of blood, is more common among the tribal population than the non-tribal population. And mind you, sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease is also very prevalent over here. And for this very reason, when there is a disorder of the blood, what happens? That these blood disorders also include sickle cell anemia. This is the reason why the states and union territories which have high population of tribes, they have contributed more to sickle cell caseload. Okay, so what happens? Statement 1 is correct and 2 is also correct. Because the prevalence of hemoglobinopathies among the tribal population is high, this is why in India, states which have high tribal population, they give more caseload with respect to sickle cell anemia. So both statements are correct and statement 1 is the correct explanation of statement 2. Okay, statement 1 is the correct explanation of statement 2. Option A is correct. Why have I asked you this question? Because yesterday only the Florence Nightingale Awards were conferred upon 30 nurses at the Rashtrapati Bhavan by the President of India. And here Dr. Mandviya has informed the President that the governments will soon begin a special campaign to eliminate sickle cell anemia across the country, and the special mission to eliminate this will be completed by the year 2047, as in sickle cell anemia has to be eliminated from the country by the year 2047. And this was announced in the current budget of 2023-24. In order to do that, we have to raise awareness, universal screening. That means the more people we screen, the more the chances we will find which population is most infested with sickle cell anemia. Counseling will also happen of 7 crore people in the age group of up to 40 years in the affected tribal area. So this has been informed by the Dr. Mandviya team. Now, what is sickle cell anemia? Normal red blood cells look flat disc like donuts. Okay, they look like donuts. Because of their shape, they can easily pass through the veins. When the shape of the red blood cells become like sickle due to blood disorder, they do not easily pass through the veins, and this causes clots among other things. So this is sickle cell anemia. That means the red blood cells are sickle shaped. Because of sickle shape, what happens? They start colliding with each other, start accumulating at one places. So this causes a lot of issue. When your body will not have healthy red blood cells, you will develop anemia. Now in India, the first description of this disease, sickle cell disease, came in around 1952. When Dr. H. Lehman and Marie Catbush, they were studying the tribal population of Nilgiri Hills. They also researched on the other population, migrant population in the tea plantations from Bihar and the other adjoining areas. They found that there are tribes which have a high prevalence of sickle cell disease, and it was found that prevalence of such disorders, hemoglobinopathies, is more common among the tribal populations and non-tribal communities in India. So why is it? Because wherever the tribal population right now we find them, that place, mostly of those places are infested with malaria. Where there is a high prevalence of malaria, the red blood cells, they develop into sickle cells so that evolutionary advantage can be given to the tribal population and they survive the malaria issue. When this is found in many other regions, it was made out that tribal population, malaria and sickle cell disease, these are interrelated to each other. First is because of malaria, because when the red blood cells are sickle cell shaped, what happens? They cannot pass the disease to the entire body, they start developing clots, and this gave an evolutionary advantage to the tribal population because of the shape of the red blood cell. Now, when there is endogamy in the tribal population, that means people of a same clan, they marry each other, they give birth to those children who already have sickle cell anemia at birth. And this is the reason why tribal population has a lot of sickle cell, has a lot of caseload with respect to sickle cell anemia. So these are the different states. As you can see, the darker ones have more prevalence of sickle cell anemia at birth. Okay, so remember that. Madhya Pradesh is also standing out a lot. Moving ahead, government scheme, we have a very good question from here. A face authentication has been rolled out for the very first time for which of the following government schemes? E-Sanjeevani, PM Kisan, PM Mudra Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Vaya Vandana Yojana. The correct answer is PM Kisan. Alright, let's know about it. This scheme became the first scheme of the central government to do eKYC through facial authentication mobile app. It is very much useful for the farmers who have aged and cannot go to the banks and the number is not linked with their Aadhaar. This is for those. That means more digital penetration is needed. Face authentication feature is helped through iris scanning, which is a part of our eye to develop the identity cards. And PM Kisan scheme is also integrating with Bhashini, which is the government's national public digital platform for languages, so that information can be provided to the farmers in their native language. It is based on the power of artificial intelligence and technologies. In 2019, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi or PM Kisan was used so that farmers could benefit through direct benefit transfer in their accounts. 6,000 rupees per year is given in 3 installments. That means in every 4th month you will get 3,000 rupees. And more than 11 crore farmers have already taken advantage of the scheme. The amount which has been transferred is a whopping 2.42 lakh crore rupees. Moving on. Consider the following. Energy efficiency, less carbon footprint, enhances crop productivity. Which of the above is or are a benefit of the Nano Urea fertilizer? Yes, because it is prepared with the help of energy efficient technologies, it has a less carbon footprint. So both these are a benefit of the Nano Urea. And also, when we talk about it as a foliar chemical, then also it increases our productivity of the crops. So all three are a benefit. The correct answer is all three. EPFO, that is Indian Farmer Fertilizer Cooperative, has started exporting world's first Nano Urea. Remember this. This is the world's first Nano Urea. That means urea which has been developed through nanotechnology. It is invented as well as manufactured, both invented in India and manufactured in India, and it has been exported to the USA. An agreement to export nano fertilizer was signed between EPFO and the Kapoor Enterprises of California. Nano Urea is a nanotechnology based revolutionary agri input. It provides nitrogen to the plants and it is the world's first nano fertilizer which has been notified by the Fertilizer Control Order. This will provide it contains and provides 4.0% of the total nitrogen. It is produced by energy efficient, environment friendly technologies, and that is why it produces less carbon footprint. It still has less carbon footprint. It hasn't completely eliminated carbon footprint. So remember that a tricky question can be formulated that it has no carbon footprint. No, it has carbon footprint, although it is less. Increased availability to crops by more than 80%, resulting in higher nutrient use efficiency. Whatever nutrition is being given to the crops, it is being utilized as well. Its application to crops as foliar fertilizer. That means when the chemical is directly applied to the leaves of the crops, that is known as foliar fertilizer. Then also it enhances crop productivity to the tune of 8%. Remember, data can also be asked. 8% with commensurate benefits, that means proportional benefit, equal benefit in terms of better soil, air and water, and farmers' profitability. Moving on, the National Florence Nightingale Award was instituted by Ministry of Culture, Tourism, Women and Child Development, Health and Family Welfare. Because it is related to nurses, nurses can be either male or female. So what happens? The Ministry of Health and Child Family Welfare is the correct answer. Many students can get confused between this and this. Not an issue at all, but as it is given to the nurses, remember it is under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The President of India conferred the National Florence Nightingale Award for the year 2022-23 to 30 nursing professionals because they were duty bound and they have performed their duties in a most excellent way. That is why this award was conferred upon them. This has been done at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. It is named after Florence Nightingale, who lived from 1820 to 1910. She is also known as the Lady with the Lamp because during war times she used to carry a lamp at night and look over the patients which were residing there. She was a British nurse, social reformer, and a statistician as well. She is the founder of modern nursing. During the Crimean War, she realized the importance of sanitation, and then she established St. Thomas's Hospital and the Nightingale Training School for Nurses in 1860. The National Florence Nightingale Award was instituted in the year 1973 under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. With respect to Global Livability Index of 2023, consider these statements. Only one city from Asia has made it to the top 10. Only Chennai and Mumbai reflect in the index. Copenhagen is the most livable city in the world. So how many statements given above is or are not correct? First statement is definitely correct. Only Osaka from Japan has made it to the top 10 from Asia when it comes to the Global Livability Index according to the Economist Intelligence Unit. So first statement is correct. Apart from Chennai and Mumbai, it also has the names of Ahmedabad, New Delhi and Bengaluru. So 5 cities are reflecting in this index, although they have not gotten great ranks. Copenhagen is actually the second most livable city in the world. The most livable city is Vienna, the capital of Austria. So first statement is correct, second is not correct, and third is also second is not correct and third is also not correct. One is only correct. We have to select not correct one. So 2 are not correct. 2 only will be the correct answer. The Economist Intelligence Unit has taken care of different parameters for 173 cities, in which it found that Austria's capital and the most populous city of Vienna has been ranked as the most livable city in the world. It has done so on the basis of stability, healthcare, education and infrastructure, where it has got 100. And an overall index is of 98.4. It has become the most livable city of 2023. Different parameters are measured and then only the index is prepared. The different parameters are healthcare, education, stability, infrastructure and environment. What happens? Sometimes prelims can ask us the parameters as well. So it is important to keep this in mind. There are 5 cities in India that have been reflected in the list: Bengaluru, Ahmedabad, Chennai, New Delhi and Mumbai. Second in line is Denmark's Copenhagen and third is Melbourne. Sydney is fourth. Also, Canada has the highest number of cities as the most livable city in the top 10. 3 are Calgary, Vancouver and Toronto. There are 2 Switzerland's cities, Zurich, which is at the 6th place, and Geneva is tying with Calgary at the 7th place. So Geneva and Calgary are 7th. Osaka in Japan has secured the 10th position. New Delhi and Mumbai both are at 141st position. Chennai is at 144th. Ahmedabad is at 147. Bengaluru is at 148. If you want the PDF of this class, you can join me on my Telegram channel, Pooja Dwivedi StudyIQ UPSC. If you have any questions with respect to UPSC, you can talk to me on my Instagram as well. Thank you so much for watching.
StudyIQ IAS. अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।